right, good day, scholars. Today, we're going to be doing some more Photoshop practice here. So we're going to go to the modules. You should probably already be in the modules, because that's where you found this video. But if not, boom, week of August 30th right here. Click on it. And we have Monday, we made our hamburger sandwich, whatever you decided to make. If you did that already, fantastic. Make sure you saved it, because we're going to put it on our portfolio on Friday. For today, right, it says Tuesday, but this is, Tuesday, Wednesday. It says we're going to be learning how to use the selection tool to manipulate specific parts of an image. Watch the video embedded below. It's not there yet because I'm making it right now. First thing we got to do is we got to download this image. So I'm going to click here. It'll open up a Google Drive image here that I have in my Google Drive that I've shared with you guys. It's a bunch of apples. All you got to do, download button up here, right? It has a down arrow. That means download. Click. It will download it. Here I have it. And you notice I've downloaded it in the past. So now I've got my picture that I'm going to be using. You're going to go to the Windows key here, and we're going to open up, Adobe Photoshop 2019, just like we did before. Click. It'll load up. Log in with Google, do all the stuff you got to do to try and get to the main screen here. Do your best to get there yourself, right? Sometimes there's issues, mess around with it, see if you can get there by yourself. Then what you're going to do is, we're not making a new one, right? We're going to use this Apple image. As you've seen, I've opened it before. You won't have this here probably. But I'm going to hit open, and I'm going to find my Apple image, okay? Mine's in my downloads because that's where my downloads go. Yours might be someplace else. It might be in your documents. It might be on your desktop. It might be in a folder on your desktop. It depends on where you downloaded it. But I downloaded mine to my download folder. I'm going to click on Apple, and I'm going to open it up. And you'll see we have our apples here. The things we need here is we need the layers still. Okay, we're going to be using layers again. Layers are something we use every time we do Photoshop. If you want to make this larger, okay, first go to View, and I like to use Fit on Screen. You can zoom in and out, you can do 200%, whatever works for you, but I like to fit on screen to make it just as big as the screen is. If you don't have layers here, you can always go to Window, Workspace, and you can set it to Essentials. That's what I use. There are a bunch of different types of setups here, but I like to use Essentials, and you can always reset it by clicking on Reset Essentials to make sure you have everything you need here. And this will give you the Learn option here if you want to learn more about some stuff. But I'm going to right-click and close the Learn, and I'm going to right-click and close the Libraries just to give me some more space. So now that I've got that set up, our goal here, okay, is we want to change the color of some of these apples, right? We want it to look pretty realistic. So we want to keep the texture, we want to keep the lighting here, right? You can see the light bouncing off of some of these apples here. We want to keep the blurred out focus of the ones that are in the background, right, as well. And the way to do that is by changing the hue of them. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is we have to select the apple. We're going to do this one first. And the tool I would recommend for this would be the magnetic lasso tool for this one. Okay, you could use other tools, right? You could use the magic wand tool, and you could do addition, and you could select it that way. Okay, but because there's a lot of texture on this apple, the algorithm's having some trouble selecting everything at once, right? So it's kind of difficult. So I'm going to deselect that. All right, and I'm going to use the magnetic wand tool. So I'm going to right-click right here in this third one down, and I'm going to select the magnetic lasso tool. Lasso is what I meant, not wand. Magnetic lasso tool. And what that does is it'll let me select the edge of the apple. I click once, I don't hold it, and then I'm going to kind of trace around. And you'll notice that the algorithm is trying to figure out where the edge of the apple is compared to the background. And it's doing it pretty well because the background is a nice solid color. As opposed to, like, if the background was also red, it would have trouble with this. But because the background is a very, very contrasting color, it does it pretty well. So once I get to the other edge of it, I'm going to click again, and I'll have it selected. All right, let's do that one more time. So I'm going to deselect this just to show you. So I'm going to go to deselect. Like if you mess up, right, and you go through here and you're like, oh no, I only got part of the apple, right? You can always hit Control D or go up to select and hit deselect and try again, okay? But I'm going to click here and I'm going to grab the apple. And the algorithm is doing all the work. It's doing a bunch of mathematics here to try and figure out where the edge of the apple is. Boom, I got it there, right? I've selected the apple. I want the stem to stay the same, so I'm not going to bother with the stem, but all I need is the apple. Once I have this selected, and you're happy with the way that it's selected here, you're going to go down to the bottom right. And it's all the way down here. And you'll see this sort of, it's a circle that's halfway colored in. It kind of looks like a half of a moon. You know what I mean? I forgot what the phase name for that was, but we got a half of a moon here. And we're going to click on it. What this is, if I just go over, right, that's creating a new fill or adjustment layer. So we're going to adjust this apple's color. So I'm going to click on that little button, and it'll bring up a bunch of options here. You can play around with these if you want, but the one we're going to use to change the color would be hue. And what the hue does is when I click on it, it will bring up the properties of that selection. And it made me a new layer here. So if I want to get rid of this, I can, because I put it in its own layer. Or if I want to change it later, I can, because it put it in its own layer, right? And it brought up this adjustment here, or these properties of this apple. And I can change the hue of the apple. So if I go left, it'll go more blue. If I go right, it turns like a yellow, a greenish, right? We got more of a turquoise here. That's pretty. I'm going to go with turquoise. That is cool looking. Let's go with turquoise. And you'll notice the hue, right? It doesn't just make it a solid turquoise color. It is changing just the tint of it, right? The hue of it. So we still have the texture, we still have the lighting, we still have everything that makes it look like a real apple. We're just changing the base color of it to a different color. And once I've got that, I'm going to click off, boom, I got that going. And if you want to rename this, right, I'm going to rename this turquoise apple. Click. Now I got that. So I'm going to go back to my background. I'm doing another one. Make sure you have the magnetic lasso selection selected. And let's do this one. So I'm going to click once. I'm not holding it. I'm letting the algorithm do the work, and I'm just trying to stay close to the apple, and the algorithm is figuring it out for me. I get to the other end. I click again. Sometimes you got to double click. There you go. I'm happy with that selection. I'm going to go down to the bottom right again. I'm going to do my half moon button here, right? My new adjustment layer or fill layer. Click hue / saturation. I'm going to click on that, and now I have that one selected. I can change the color. Let's do, purple. Let's do a purple one. I think that looks cool. And you can also mess with the saturation, right? If you want to make it really bright, really purpley or less purpley, right? That looks a little more natural as a purple apple could get. That one looks a little crazier. I'm going to try and go a little more natural. Let's turn the saturation down, and you can also make it lighter or darker. But I'm going to leave that about 0 so it retains and it matches the other apples. So I'm happy with that one. Let's do one more just as an example, right? So I'm going to click back on my background layer. I'm going to grab my magnetic lasso. This one's out of focus, right? A lot of these are out of focus from the camera. Let's see if the magnetic lasso does okay with this. So I clicked once, I'm going around, I'm not holding the mouse down. Click again, maybe double click, it depends, sometimes it needs a double click. I have it selected, I'm gonna go, adjustment layer, hue, and I'm gonna make this one, I wanna try and get a blue going. Ooh, look at that blue. Boom. Right, and you'll notice, right, I'm on yellow here. Right, I chose the yellow over here, but because the background is red of the actual apple, it's combining those colors basically and creating a different color. Okay, I'm not going to get into color theory and all that kind of stuff in regards to how the computer works. Just know that because I selected yellow, yellow on top of red turns out to make blue in this case. Okay, and I didn't even look at the colors over here. I'm just looking at the apple to see what color I want it to be. So I'm going to go with the blue. I'm happy with the saturation. I'm happy with the lightness. I'm going to do one more. Okay, I want you guys to do 5 apples at least. Once you got your 5 apples, so let's say you got 5 apples of different colors, what you're going to do is you're going to file, save it. Okay, save it somewhere on your computer, preferably on your desktop in a folder that you made like we did earlier. If not, put it in your documents or something and name it like colored apples or something like that. Okay, and hit save. And if you got time, okay, maybe it's the second day you're working on this, whatever, if there's time, I want you to download your own picture and open it in Photoshop and change the color of a bunch of weird stuff, right? Make something weird looking. Make something fun. Change the color of a cake. Change the color of somebody's face. I don't care. Have some fun with it. Practice changing the color and the hue and saturation of some different stuff and pictures that you choose. Okay, guys? That's basically it for now. Make sure you get your hamburger finished. Make sure you get your apples finished, because we're going to put them on your portfolio on Friday. If you need help, let me know.